subpanels in apartment buildings are subject to specific requirements outlined in the National Electrical Code, or NEC. A key aspect of these requirements focuses on the presence and location of main circuit breakers. According to the NEC, all subpanels are required to have a main circuit breaker installed within the subpanel itself. The primary reason for this requirement is safety. A main circuit breaker provides a means to quickly and easily de-energize the entire subpanel in the event of an electrical fault, such as a short circuit or ground fault. This helps to prevent electrical fires and reduces the risk of electrical shock. The NEC also dictates the acceptable location of the main breaker that serves each individual apartment unit. The code mandates that the main breaker for each apartment must be readily accessible to the occupants of that apartment. This means that the breaker should be located inside the apartment unit itself, in a place that is easily reachable by the tenant. The reasoning behind this requirement is to ensure that occupants can quickly shut off power to their apartment in an emergency situation such as a fire or electrical hazard. If the main breakers for the apartments are located outside, under the meter, and at a distance of over 200 feet away from the units, this configuration does not comply with the NEC requirements. This situation presents a safety concern because it delays the ability of occupants to de-energize their apartment in an emergency. It also makes it difficult for first responders, such as firefighters, to quickly cut off power to the unit if needed. To bring the electrical system into compliance with the NEC, you will need to undertake an upgrade of the subpanels and relocate the main breakers. This involves two main tasks. Firstly, you will need to install a main circuit breaker in each subpanel. This will provide local overcurrent protection and a means of disconnecting power to the subpanel. Secondly, you will need to move the main breakers for each apartment from their current location outside to a location inside the corresponding apartment unit. This will provide the occupants with easy access to the breaker in case of an emergency. Due to the complexity and potential hazards involved in electrical work, it is crucial to engage the services of a qualified electrician to perform this upgrade. A qualified electrician will have the knowledge, skills, and experience necessary to ensure that the work is done safely and in accordance with all applicable codes and regulations. The electrician will begin by assessing the existing electrical system to determine the specific requirements for the upgrade. This will involve evaluating the size of the subpanels, the load calculations for each apartment, and the existing wiring and overcurrent protection. Based on this assessment, the electrician will develop a plan for installing the main circuit breakers in the subpanels and relocating the apartment main breakers. The electrician will select appropriately sized circuit breakers for each application, ensuring that they are properly rated for the load they will be protecting. The electrician will also ensure that the new wiring and connections are made in a safe and workmanlike manner, using approved methods and materials. Once the upgrade is complete, the electrician will thoroughly test the system to ensure that it is functioning properly and that all safety requirements are met. This will include testing the operation of the circuit breakers, checking for any loose connections or wiring faults, and verifying that the system is properly grounded. The NEC is a comprehensive set of standards that governs the safe installation and maintenance of electrical systems. It is updated on a regular basis to reflect changes in technology and best practices. It is important for anyone involved in electrical work to be familiar with the NEC and to follow its requirements closely. Here are some specific considerations related to upgrading apartment subpanels to meet NEC requirements. Firstly, the size of the main circuit breaker that is installed in each subpanel must be properly matched to the load that the subpanel will be serving. This is typically determined by performing a load calculation, which takes into account the various electrical appliances and devices that will be connected to the subpanel. The load calculation will also factor in any future anticipated loads. Secondly, the wiring that is used to connect the main circuit breaker to the subpanel must be of the correct size and type. The wire must be able to safely carry the amount of current that the circuit breaker is rated for. The type of wire must also be appropriate for the environment in which it will be installed. Thirdly, the main circuit breaker must be properly labeled to indicate its function. The label should clearly state that the breaker is the main disconnect for the subpanel. This will help to prevent confusion in the event of an emergency. Fourthly, the location of the apartment main breakers inside the apartment unit must be readily accessible to the occupants. The breakers should not be located behind locked doors or in other inaccessible areas. The breakers should also be clearly labeled to indicate which apartment they serve. Fifthly, all electrical work must be performed in accordance with all applicable codes and regulations. This includes the NEC, as well as any local codes or ordinances. The work must be performed by a qualified electrician who is licensed and insured. In addition to the NEC requirements, there may be other local codes or regulations that apply to electrical work in apartment buildings. It is important to check with the local building department to determine what these requirements are. For example, some jurisdictions may require that all electrical work be inspected by a building inspector before it is put into service. Other jurisdictions may have specific requirements for the type of wiring or overcurrent protection that must be used. Failing to comply with these local codes or regulations can result in fines or other penalties. Upgrading apartment subpanels to meet NEC requirements is an important safety measure. By installing main circuit breakers in the subpanels and relocating the apartment main breakers to inside the units, you can help to protect the occupants from electrical hazards and ensure that the electrical system is operating safely and reliably. The cost of upgrading apartment subpanels can vary depending on a number of factors, including the size of the subpanels, the number of apartments, and the complexity of the existing electrical system. It is important to get estimates from several qualified electricians before starting the work. The estimates should include the cost of labor, materials, and any necessary permits or inspections. While the cost of upgrading the subpanels may seem significant, it is important to remember that this is an investment in safety. The cost of an electrical fire or other electrical hazard can be far greater than the cost of upgrading the subpanels. In addition to the safety benefits, upgrading the subpanels can also improve the value of the property. A well-maintained electrical system is an attractive feature for potential tenants or buyers. It is also important to note that upgrading the subpanels may be required by law in some jurisdictions. Landlords have a legal responsibility to ensure that their properties are safe and habitable. Failing to comply with electrical codes can result in fines or other penalties. The NEC is not a static document. It is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and best practices. It is important to stay up to date on the latest version of the NEC to ensure that your electrical system is in compliance. The NEC is available for purchase from the National Fire Protection Association (NFPA). It is also available online through various subscription services. Many local libraries also have copies of the NEC available for reference. There are also many training courses and workshops available that can help you to learn about the NEC. These courses are typically taught by qualified electricians or electrical engineers. Taking a course on the NEC can be a good way to stay up to date on the latest requirements and best practices. When selecting an electrician to perform the upgrade, it is important to choose someone who is qualified and experienced. Ask for references and check their license and insurance. Make sure that they are familiar with the NEC and any local codes or regulations that apply to electrical work in apartment buildings. It is also a good idea to get a written estimate from the electrician before starting the work. The estimate should include a detailed breakdown of the cost of labor, materials, and any necessary permits or inspections. Once the upgrade is complete, be sure to get a copy of the electrician's invoice and any inspection reports. Keep these documents in a safe place for future reference. In conclusion, upgrading apartment subpanels to meet NEC requirements is an important safety measure that should not be overlooked. By installing main circuit breakers in the subpanels and relocating the apartment main breakers to inside the units, you can help to protect the occupants from electrical hazards and ensure that the electrical system is operating safely and reliably. Remember to hire a qualified electrician to perform the work and to follow all applicable codes and regulations. Specific NEC articles relevant to this situation are firstly Article 230.70, which discusses the location of disconnecting means. This article generally requires the disconnecting means to be readily accessible. Secondly, Article 408, which covers switchboards, switchgear, and panel boards. Specifically, look at the requirements for overcurrent protection and the installation of circuit breakers. Thirdly, Article 240, which deals with overcurrent protection in general. This includes the requirements for the type and size of overcurrent devices. Understanding these articles will provide a more detailed understanding of the code requirements for subpanels and main breakers. Remember that the NEC is a complex document, and it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that your electrical system is in compliance. Ensuring readily accessible main breakers aligns with broader safety principles embedded in electrical codes. The intention is to minimize response time in emergencies. A delay of even a few minutes can be critical in situations such as electrical fires or shocks. Also, consider the implications for maintenance and repairs. Having to travel 200 feet to access the main breaker significantly complicates troubleshooting and repair work. It also increases the potential for unauthorized access to electrical equipment. When evaluating the existing subpanels, it's essential to check their overall condition. Look for signs of damage, such as corrosion, overheating, or physical damage. Also, verify that the subpanels are properly labeled and that the circuit directory is accurate. An outdated or inaccurate circuit directory can create confusion and increase the risk of electrical hazards. If the existing subpanels are in poor condition, it may be more cost-effective to replace them entirely rather than trying to upgrade them. A new subpanel will provide a clean slate and ensure that the electrical system meets current standards. When choosing new subpanels, select models that are appropriately sized for the load they will be serving. Also, consider the available space and choose subpanels that will fit comfortably in the existing location. It's also essential to ensure that the subpanels are properly grounded. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to trip the circuit breaker and prevent electrical shock. The grounding system should be inspected regularly to ensure that it is in good condition. Consider the potential for future expansion when upgrading the subpanels. It may be wise to choose subpanels that have extra capacity to accommodate future electrical loads. This will avoid the need to upgrade the subpanels again in the near future. When relocating the apartment main breakers, choose a location that is both accessible and protected. The breakers should not be located in areas where they are likely to be damaged or exposed to moisture. They should also be located in a place where they can be easily reached by all occupants of the apartment. Consider installing the main breakers in a small enclosure to protect them from damage. The enclosure should be labeled to indicate that it contains the main breaker for the apartment. Also, consider installing a surge protector at the main breaker to protect the apartment's electrical equipment from power surges. A surge protector can help to prevent damage to appliances, electronics, and other sensitive equipment. Power surges can be caused by lightning strikes, power outages, or other electrical disturbances. Remember to keep all electrical equipment clean and dry. Dust and moisture can cause electrical equipment to malfunction or become a fire hazard. Regularly inspect electrical cords and plugs for damage. Replace any cords or plugs that are frayed or cracked. Never overload electrical outlets or circuits. Overloading can cause the wires to overheat and start a fire. Use extension cords only temporarily. If you need to use an extension cord on a regular basis, have an electrician install additional outlets. Be careful when working around electricity. Always turn off the power at the breaker before working on any electrical equipment. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician. Electricity is a powerful force that can be dangerous if not handled properly. By following these safety tips, you can help to prevent electrical accidents and protect yourself and others from harm. Another consideration is the impact of the upgrade on the building's overall electrical system. It's essential to ensure that the existing service can handle the increased load from the new subpanels and main breakers. If necessary, the service may need to be upgraded as well. This could involve replacing the main service panel, upgrading the service entrance conductors, or installing a new transformer. The local utility company can provide guidance on the requirements for upgrading the service. In addition to the NEC requirements, there may be energy efficiency requirements that apply to electrical systems in apartment buildings. For example, some jurisdictions may require the use of energy-efficient lighting or appliances. When upgrading the subpanels, consider incorporating energy-efficient technologies to reduce energy consumption and lower utility bills. This could involve installing LED lighting, using energy-efficient appliances, or installing a smart thermostat. Also, consider the potential for renewable energy sources, such as solar panels. Installing solar panels on the roof of the apartment building can generate electricity and reduce the building's reliance on the grid. There may be tax incentives or rebates available for installing renewable energy systems. When planning the upgrade, it's essential to coordinate with the building's tenants. Provide them with advance notice of any planned outages or disruptions to electrical service. Also, be sure to answer any questions they may have about the upgrade. Clear communication can help to minimize inconvenience and ensure that the upgrade goes smoothly. After the upgrade is complete, provide the tenants with instructions on how to operate the new main breakers. Also, provide them with a copy of the updated circuit directory. This will help them to understand how the electrical system works and how to respond in an emergency. Finally, remember to maintain the electrical system on a regular basis. This includes inspecting the subpanels, circuit breakers, and wiring for any signs of damage or wear. It also includes testing the operation of the circuit breakers on a regular basis. Regular maintenance can help to prevent electrical problems and ensure that the system is operating safely and reliably.